Hello and welcome to another video in the Resolve Actions Pro introductory video series. In this short video, our focus is going to be on Resolve's Gateway Builder. I think the reality with IT and network automation is that you'll always want to integrate with third-party tools that just aren't mainstream enough to include any support for it out of the box. And this makes automation much more difficult than it should be. With other automation vendors, this can be a blocker. But with Resolve's Gateway Builder, you can build your own bidirectional gateways to poll and retrieve any data from any third-party system. This feature enables you to scan or query for relevant alarms, events, tickets, etc. on a recurring schedule. This data is pulled from that external system and forwarded onto Resolve's resolution routing feature, so you can define which specific runbooks or automations should be triggered by that incoming data. Now, before we really get started, Resolve already includes a wide variety of out-of-the-box gateways to connect into third-party applications, as well as additional technology-specific gateways too. For example, whenever a user creates a new service request in your ITSM tool, you may want to trigger one of your specific automations. Or you may want a specific automation to be triggered from an App Dynamics or Dynatrace alert, etc. Or triggering automations from a Kafka bus, etc. On the other hand, you may want to trigger an automation from something more generic, like from an incoming email or a specific database record change. For example, Resolve can monitor a particular database table for new records or a predefined query, and then execute one of your relevant automations. These technology-specific gateways range from integration with databases to email mailboxes, monitoring SNMP, monitoring files and folder locations, etc. Resolve includes all of these gateways ready to use out of the box. And then there is Resolve's HTTP gateway, which allows any third-party tool to push absolutely any type of data to Resolve's HTTP web service, regardless if it's structured data or unstructured data. The reality is that no one vendor can honestly tell you they've got it all. So what can you do when something isn't available out of the box? Well, you can use Resolve's Gateway Builder, of course, to build your own bidirectional gateways and connect into those third-party tools to automatically retrieve alarms, events, tickets, or potentially anything else. Now, I've got two examples I want to show you in this video today. The first is something really simple, like making an HTTP REST call into a third-party API. And the second example will be triggering automations when a new user account is created in an LDAP or Active Directory service. But first, let's look at the Resolve UI for creating new gateway filters. We must specify a unique name for our gateway filter, as well as the interval seconds between each execution of our filter. You have the option of forcing any retrieved events or data to one specific runbook or automation, or you can use Resolve's resolution mapping rules to dynamically filter and match the retrieved events into your different automations. Next, you can start to define the parameters your gateway filter may need. For example, you may want to include secure credentials here or a third-party URL. The main component of your gateway filter is the pull script. Resolve includes some pre-built templates, and this leads us into the first example of creating a new gateway to retrieve events from Zabbix, which is a third-party monitoring tool, and using their HTTP REST API. You'll need to review the API documentation of your third-party product. And I've already done that, and I already know I'll be using a bearer token for authentication, so I can use the HTTP REST with bearer token authentication template. The pull script uses the Groovy language and gives you access to the world's largest community of examples, libraries, and knowledge on the internet. You can now set the parameters or variables to match your third-party documentation. But of course, you can extend the script to deal with any scenario or unique edge cases. Now, this is super powerful. This pull script allows you to define the exact query or URL or HTTP request body, like JSON, to retrieve data from your third-party tool. And you can further customize what you want to pull back into Resolve. There are also special features to ensure you won't pull back the same list of events over and over again too. If you want to transform the raw data retrieved from your third-party tool, you can also use the filter script to modify that raw data before it's sent onto your automation or processed by the resolution routing rules engine. Finally, you can click on the Run Test button to test your gateway script and display any retrieved records or results. Now for the second example, and let's see this one in action from start to end. Actually, this is an example from a Resolve customer. Their new user or onboarding process started in their HR cloud software, which is based on Oracle, and precedes any of the usual IT activities or ownership. This third-party tool eventually creates a new Active Directory user account and then notifies the end user services team via their ITSM tool to start the IT-owned standard operating procedures, such as adding a security group memberships, creating the email mailbox, enforcing password standards, and creating logins into other business applications too. Now, they were experiencing much delay in this process. Sometimes the end user services team would miss the service request, and it was taking a day or two to onboard a new user, where in reality, automation can do it in just a few seconds. Now, we wanted the Resolve automation to be triggered as soon as that new user account was created in Active Directory, rather than waiting for the ITSM request. So we built a new gateway that would monitor a specific Active Directory OU for new user accounts. A quick Google search for Groovy Active Directory led me to Groovy LDAP. It took me less than 10 minutes to read the documentation and create the script, as you can see here. So line 26 connects into my Active Directory server, and then line 28 searches for any user accounts within that defined OU location. Monitor OU being a variable defined by one of my key parameters. From line 31 and onwards, it iterates through each new user account it finds, extracting only the data my automation needs to run, like the user's distinguished name and display name, etc. Each new user account will trigger a unique automation execution. So let's see it in action. In Active Directory users and computers, I'm creating a new user account to simulate what the HR Cloud tool would do. Back in Resolve, and I can click this gateway's Run Test button, and well, now I can see that the data is coming into Resolve. Resolve's queried that OU and found that new user account. Finally, I just need to specify the actual runbook I want to execute, and as part of that runbook, the new user account is processed and is moved into its correct OU location. All done. So some of the other advanced capabilities of Resolve's Gateway Builder are that your filters can utilize Resolve's ability to save and retrieve attributes of the last event or ticket fetched from the external system. And this allows you to build queries that only fetch new events and tickets on subsequent polls or queries. Resolve's Gateway Builder allows for high availability of gateway filters too, providing an out-of-the-box failover and failback mechanism. It can also scale both vertically and horizontally by either adding more system resources or adding additional instances or nodes to the Resolve cluster. What I find really cool about Resolve's Gateway Filter is just how easy it is to get something like this built. You can practically integrate with any third-party tool and listen into new events or alarms or tickets, and then retrieve that data and then trigger any of your automations. It's all really easy. Thanks for watching this video. Goodbye.